Welcome to the Next Brave Step podcast. My name is Chelsy Weisz. Each week, we'll dive into how you can cultivate more joy, curiosity, and dare I say confidence to show up and do the work to achieve that vision of your life that maybe you've been just a little too afraid to even whisper out loud to anyone else just yet. This is a show for creatives who are ready to take themselves seriously, attract their dream clients, and build a business that reflects what they want for their life. I'm so grateful you're here. So let's go ahead and dive into the episode. If you're listening to this episode in real time, the chances are that you are probably right in the middle of, or maybe at the tail end of your super fall busy season for shooting photos. I'm willing to bet that you may be feeling a little stretched too thin right now. Maybe you have 10 or more sessions left to edit, and your soul is slowly dying at your 9 to 5 right now. You're feeling a little bit overwhelmed with everything on your plate. Girl, I get it, and the last thing that I would want to do is to add something totally pointless to your plate. But I want to share a proven path with you today that can set you on your way to charging more money without more work for yourself. And my answer is blogging. Did that sound a little overwhelming to hear? Totally get it. You're probably questioning if blogging is really something you should be adding to your already to-do list. So we're going to talk about all this today in today's episode. Now, a few weeks ago, I did a poll on my Instagram stories kind of asking what was kind of holding you back as a photographer when it came to blogging, whether that was starting a blog or blogging consistently. And I got a lot of the same answers coming into my inbox, and they all kind of said the same thing. And it was, I just don't have the time right now. I am already so behind on everything else that I have going on for my clients, whether it is photographing stuff or editing things or just replying to emails. Like, I just don't have enough time. I have too many people waiting for things right now. Now, there's a lot of things to unpack with this response. So let's kind of break it down a little bit. First of all, that is amazing. This is a quality problem. You have a lot of people that want to work with you. That's a good thing. That means that you're doing something right. And I'm so freaking proud of you for getting to this point. Now, let's talk about it. Honestly, it might be a little bit too much. Now, I'm not saying that you need to take on less clients and cut your income in half, because that is not what this is about. No, what I really think it sounds like is that it might be time to raise your prices. And I know that can be a little bit scary if you've never raised your prices before, or if you haven't raised them in a while. There's a pretty good chance you probably have this small voice inside of your head that is telling you that you shouldn't, or that you can't do it, or maybe that your town is too small and if you raise your prices any higher, like, it's just not going to work out. Or you might be getting stuck in this comparison loop where you feel like your clients that you do have are just going to end up leaving you for a cheaper photographer if you raise your prices. And, these are things that may be going on in the back of your head. And these voices that you're hearing in the back of your head, they are there to keep you safe and to make sure that you survive. So these voices that you're hearing, oh my gosh, it sounds like I'm talking about how, like, schizophrenia, you've got voices in the back of your head, but you know what I mean, right? It's that self-doubt, and that's coming from your prefrontal cortex. And this is the part of your brain that is really responsible for your freeze, your flight, your fight, and your fawn response, right? Now, way back when, before the Earth's crust cooled, we as a species, as we were evolving, this response, these voices were there in order to, keep us safe and keep us, in the group that was keeping us safe, right? But now, as we've evolved, sometimes our brains kind of set off these alarms a little unnecessarily as we start to take big steps forward in life and in business and really step outside of our comfort zones. So when we think about raising our prices and our brain kind of freaks out and starts asking us, like, what if nobody books? Or what if all of the clients that you have now leave? This is really your brain's way of just ensuring that you stay safe and stay inside this bubble of what's comfortable. Even if what's quote unquote comfortable is you being overworked and underpaid, at least your brain knows what to expect, right? So this is when, these little voices of self-doubt inside of our heads can really kind of get in our way when we decide that we want to raise our prices. When you decide you want to raise your prices, you may or may not freak out for a second. Totally fine if you do. Like, we understand that, like, it's just your brain's way of like trying to protect yourself. But once you decide that you're going to take action and you put that higher price point on your website or on your lookbook or however it is that you are telling people that what your prices are, how do you kind of like justify this higher price, right? Now, there's a few different ways, and I call them the 3 E's that you can use in order to raise your price. Because you have to do some things to raise your price. You can't just decide you're going to do it, right? So that's when you can look at the 3 E's and decide which one of these things you want to work on or improve in order to raise your prices. So the 3 E's are expertise, experience, and equipment. So let's break those down a little bit here. So let's go ahead and start with equipment. Equipment is pretty self-explanatory. I do think that you need proper gear in order to be a photographer. But honestly, it really comes down to how you use your tools more than the price tag on your tools whenever you think about investing in equipment. That's not the first thing I think that you should jump to is your equipment. But it is something that you can use to kind of justify raising your prices. Whether that's, investing in a full frame camera, or maybe you're upgrading some lenses, or, if you're shooting video and you decide to get a drone, that's gonna, you're gonna be able to photograph or shoot things a little bit differently with different equipment, right? And that's going to up level your end product, right? The other thing with equipment is you can also make sure that you're getting the most out of the equipment that you already have. Whether that is learning to shoot in manual or mastering Calvin white balance, or, reminding yourself / myself not to shoot with 85 all day, every day, There's other lenses, Chelsy, that you can use besides the 85 millimeter, even though it's your favorite, because it's going to give you a more well-rounded gallery at the end, right? So that is kind of the equipment. That is one thing that you can use to raise your prices. Okay, let's talk about experience. This was the second E in our 3 E's. We've got equipment, experience, and expertise. So experience. When I say experience, I'm talking about your client's experience with you. And I want to give you this analogy of a haircut, right? So my boyfriend, he has gone to a couple different places to get his haircut. Now, he used to go to, I think, Sports Clips, where you would like check in online and go get your haircut, get it done, you're in, you're out, like very just like utilitarian, right? Works really great for a lot of people. Super awesome. Now, there's a new place that he has started going to, and that is called the Man Cave, which I think is a hilarious name. But, you go in and they give you a drink. They do a hot steam towel on your face, and, it's a lot more of an experience to it, right? It's not just like in, out, get your hair cut and you're done, right? And the price tags very much, reflect that. Even though when you walk out of both of those doors, you have the same thing. You have your haircut, and it's like a guy's haircut. It's nothing too crazy, right? But paying almost twice as much for the Man Cave versus Sports Clips, right? And he keeps going back to the fancy place, right? Which is awesome. So how can you, up level your experience to create more of not a shoot and burn type thing. So shoot and burn, you like shooting your images, getting them back, and that's it. There's nothing else to it. How can you improve your experience? And we'll dive into that more in another episode, but that's one way to raise your prices or justify raising your prices. And the last E is your expertise. So what do I mean by expertise? There's a couple different ways that you can look at it. You can look at it as investing in your education for your business, whether that is learning more posing, whether it is working on refining your editing, but really becoming this expert. And the other way is to position yourself as an expert to your clients. So what does that mean to position yourself as an expert? Does this mean that you need to know anything and everything about what you photograph? No. What it means is that you need to be just a couple steps ahead of your clients and that you're continuing to grow. I really believe that the best experts are people that are consistently working on improving themselves or their craft, right? also willing to bet that you're a little bit more of an expert than you think you are. I would guess that you probably know when is the best time of day to schedule your sessions. I bet you know what colors of outfits combinations work best with your editing style. No matter if you're photographing newborns or families or weddings, boudoir, seniors, I bet that there are some things that you know that if a client does XYZ before a shoot, it's going to turn out better, right? So let's say that we want to position yourself as an expert. How do you actually do it? Okay? Because it's one thing to be like, okay, I am the expert on this. Okay, how do you convey that and present it in a really polished and professional way to clients or potential clients? And the answer is publishing blog posts that educate your clients in a really easy, searchable way that you have complete control over. So you can kind of create this library of your best tips and tricks so you can easily share this with potential clients over and over again. So blogging is so amazing to be able to position yourself as this expert, and it doesn't have to be hard. It can be a lot easier than you think it is. Yes, blogging is going to take some work upfront in the short run, but it's going to add so much value in the long run. Honestly, if you're spending 2 hours working on a blog post, you're going to get so much more out of it in the long run than if you spent those 2 hours working on a TikTok dance or practicing lip syncing to the newest audio clip. Blog posts are such an amazing tool. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the things here. Blog posts on things like what to wear, how to prepare, what to expect when they book you as a photographer are all posts that are positioning you as the expert and really help allow you to start raising those prices. And higher prices means fewer clients, but that doesn't mean less money. This is basic supply and demand, guys. It's one of the few lessons that I took with me from my micro and macroeconomics class before I dropped out of college my sophomore year and started my own business, right? So, when the supply goes up, demand goes down. When supply goes down, demand goes up. This is how it works. So I'm not going to go ahead and sugarcoat this. It's going to be a little bit more work right away when you work on, booking these clients at this higher rate. Short-term pain for long-term gains. But as you work on establishing yourself as the expert in your area, you're going to start to become this go-to photographer for this because you're putting out all of this information, all of these things that really help clients feel really confident in knowing that you know what you're talking about, you know what you're doing, and you are the person that they are going to want to book because you're telling them what you know. You're showing them how you're using your expertise to create this amazing experience and these amazing photos. So if you think that it sounds like a great idea and you've kind of been tossing around the idea of maybe starting a blog to really establish yourself as an expert, but you're not really sure what you should be writing about, don't worry, I got you covered. I actually created a couple of free resources for you with blog topics, like blog post topics, and I have 3 different ones. So I have one for family photographers, I have one for seniors, and I have one for weddings. Altogether, there's like 165 blog post topics, but even if you only do one of those, so if you only photograph families, there's 55 blog post topics in that. And if you do one post a week, that's over a year's worth of blog posts, like ideas completely ready for you to go and start going. And these are really broken down into some categories that are going to help you showcase your work. It's going to give you something to write about and pair next to your beautiful images. You're also going to find topics that are going to help you educate your clients and kind of pre-qualify them to book with you. And it's going to help you to really connect with your audience so they can get to know who you are outside of photography, what's important to you, and kind of peek behind the curtain to see, what it's like to work with you. So if you want to go ahead and get your hands on these resources, head on over to chelsyweis.com/blogging. And that's CHELSYWEISZ.com/blogging. And we'll also have that link down in the show notes as well. And you can grab the resource that makes the most sense for you. Again, each one of these have 55 blog post topics, one for family photographers, one for weddings, and one for seniors. So they're specific to industries. But yeah, I don't want you to be working so much that you are just letting life pass you by, or that you are so stressed out with having too much to do. It really might be time to raise your rates in order to really decrease your workload, the amount of stuff that you're doing, but really be able to offer this high value, high experience service to your clients. So that is it for today. I will go ahead and let you guys go, and I'll see you guys next week on the podcast. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Next Brave Step podcast. I hope you enjoyed diving deep into all the tips and tricks that you can use to help cultivate more joy, curiosity, and courage to create the business that works for your goals, not the goals of others. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would be so grateful if you could share it with others and leave a rating and review. As always, you can head over to the nextbravesteppodcast.com to download your free list of 55 blog post ideas for photographers. You can also find all the links and resources there in the show notes. That's it for this episode. I'll catch you next time. Bye.